This tape has been copyrighted. Any duplication or reproduction without written consent is prohibited.
I'm going to share with you a few of the keys that I think have helped me be successful, but I was reading an article in the LA Times recently. The date is Saturday, June 27th, and I read this, and it was so, I read it to my bay shop the day that I picked it up. It was on a Saturday, and one of the things that I do is some of the things I think that have helped me to become successful is I read a lot. I'm just a voracious reader. I read constantly. I don't do anything. If I have any free minute, I'm reading something. I don't. If I don't have something, I grab something. Vouch for Jan, the rest, you name it, everywhere. Okay. I just think that there's so much to know, and we know so little that to waste any time not getting more information is just almost criminal, in my opinion. And I'm just thirsty to know more. And so usually what I do every morning, I pick up 2 newspapers: USA Today, the LA Times. I read those papers every day. I generally try to read about 2 or 3 or 4 books a month, sometimes more if we're traveling. And I just like to read. And what it's done for me is that it's allowed me to have something in common with almost everybody I meet. So when I meet somebody for the first time, I start asking them questions, and regardless of what they're doing, I almost always know something about what they do or what they're doing. So what it allows me to do is always build common ground with people. And common ground is the key to building relationships. If you have common ground, like me and Pod, we both like movies. So we immediately have something we talk about. As soon as you say, hey, have you seen any good movies? Boom, we're right back on step. We have common ground, right? Or if if somebody plays golf or whatever, I don't care what you do. Because I'm reading stuff, and even though I don't really know something about it, I'll just peruse it, and then when I said, oh yeah, I was reading about that the other day. You happen to work for that company. I read that this company's doing this and that, and then, oh yeah, and all of a sudden we're into a conversation, and they think I'm smart, right? Because I know, and they like me because I'm interested and know something about them. Does that make any sense to any of you? I would really encourage you to do that. To start doing that. It will help you tremendously, not to mention it's going to increase your vocabulary. If you can increase your vocabulary and become more articulate, it's going to allow you to recruit a better quality of person, a much sharper quality of person, and it makes you feel better about yourself. So that was always something that was really important to me. Even when I was a kid, I always loved words, and I worked really hard. When I would read books, if some of you aren't good readers or you're not really articulate right now, I always read with a dictionary right with me when I was a kid. When I was 12 and 13 years old, I had a dictionary with me. I was reading books. If I didn't understand a word, boom, looked it up. And then pretty soon, before you know it, you start knowing all the words. And then you don't need to do that anymore. And what that does for you, because what happens, some of your comprehension isn't good because you might read a paragraph. And if you don't know what one word means in a paragraph, you don't know what that paragraph means. So you read stuff and you don't understand it. So a lot of the reason you're not understanding things is because you don't understand what the word means. So this is just a little tip that for me has made a humongous difference in my life and has really enriched it a lot, and it allows me to be able to, if I'm sitting down with a group of CEOs, with somebody like Pete Dawkins, who was a Rhodes Scholar and very, very, very brilliant in many ways, or Sandy Weil, I feel completely comfortable in that environment. And if you sit me down with a construction worker, which is all my relatives were construction workers, I feel completely comfortable in that environment. Any place you put me, I don't have any problem being there. And any of you can do that. Because I didn't grow up in that environment, but I put myself there mentally, okay? And all of you are capable of doing that. There's not a one of you that's not capable, but you got to put the time in, all right? So anyways, just thought that might help you. This is an article called Students Who Have Broken Through the Brick Ceiling. The subtitle says, Education, Here's How 4 Inner-City Youths with Inner Resolve Are Rising Above Grim Circumstances. It says, right, until he was 4 years old, Ricardo Blackett lived in the projects, one more unnoticed mustard seed fallen upon hard, cracked pavement of the urban poverty. His father, an auto mechanic from Barbados, was seldom around. His mother worked in a hospital kitchen, struggling to raise 7 children. Even when she managed to move her family into what she called My Shack, a tiny aging row house in Baltimore, predominantly black West Side, she made only $18,000 a year, and the area slid downhill so fast that neighbors around the corner put up signs threatening to report drug customers who parked at the curb. This month, as Blackett, 21, finishes his junior year in engineering at the University of Delaware, he depends on a strategy for survival honed by years of determination to achieve something better. Whatever the problem, his mother critically ill, his brother wrecked on cocaine, his grown sister and her children having to move in with his mother, Ricardo Blackett puts his head in his books and studies. You can't just forget about everything at home because home is still home, Blackett says, but you have to put it on the back burner until your work is done. Now, this is a 21-year-old kid. Blackett and students like him represent glimmers of hope in the despair of today's inner-city neighborhoods and the troubled schools that serve them. Despite obstacles that stymie millions of their peers across the nation, these students are proof that it is still possible, at least for a determined few, to excel. Taken together, they comprise an honor roll of anonymous courage. Every case is different. Each survivor, like Blackett, has a highly personal strategy, but all share certain common traits. At home, they lean on supportive parent or grandparent. On the street, they sidestep temptations that ensnare their friends. At school, they ferret out teachers who care, haunting their offices, calling them at home, grabbing at the smallest opportunity. They go out of their way for help. They don't go, well, I'm not deserving, I'm not doing enough, I don't want to bother them, like most of you do. Because they are serious about their life, and they know the only chance for them to succeed is to go after that help. And they understand that there's people that want to help them, and God put those people in those places to help them. He says, like immigrants from distant lands, they make themselves outsiders. They turn away from the people and cultures they grew up with and move toward places where they've never feel entirely comfortable or welcome. You can find teachers in every school who will make a difference in the lives of their students, says Freeman Habrowski, president of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. But when you find inner city students who have succeeded, they have developed a great deal of inner strength. Certainly that's what Blackett relied on when his mother got sick, or when he left his new bicycle chained to the banister in his mother's house, only to discover that his older brother, Rodney, had cut it loose and sold it to buy crack, or when Rodney stole his new winter coat and sold it, and then stole and sold a replacement, and when he slipped on the hinges of the door to Ricardo's room to steal whatever else he could find, or when his sister Angela and her children moved into his mother's home, and Rodney, 28, in jail again for domestic violence, tried to get his mother to put up the little house for bail money. Lessons from a high school teacher helped, Blackett says. She said, just do your work and remember where you came from. Stay grounded. Get your work done. That's the most important thing. Here are the stories of these survivors. And the stories go on and on. I'm going to get you a copy of this. There's this one story after another about how these kids, it was tough for them. The odds are against them, but they created their own environment. They stopped associating with the people that were comfortable and around them. They went out of their way. They dressed different. There's one story in here of a young gal who she started dressing for success. She's the same situation, inner city child. And she goes, and every day she gets up, she makes sure she's dressed like a professional, and she's in college. You know, a lot of the kids dress, in jeans, and she wants to be, she's putting herself in a position to be successful already, and she's changing her state and her mentality. And you know, folks, that's what we need to do. That's what some of you need to do. If you don't see yourself as something, how you dress, I love that you said that, how you dress says how you feel about yourself. It really does. See, and it makes you feel different. I'll give you an example. Right now, I'm pretty casual, okay? I feel casual. I feel a certain way when I'm casual. On Friday night, when I had that suit on, I felt totally different about me that night than I feel right now. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't matter why it works that way, but the fact is, when you're sharp and you're spit and polished, you feel different about yourself, people perceive you different, and you put off a different aura. So it's important in the building stages of your business, I wouldn't step out of my house unless I looked totally together. I would not leave my house unless I looked together. Today, I get up, I put my swim trunks on, I put a t-shirt on, I put a cap on, we go have breakfast, I jump on my bike, ride downtown, get a cup of coffee, but I am rich right now. I don't really care anymore, okay? But when I was trying to get rich, I was always put together, and I'm just telling you, you better be careful what you look like because you're always making an impact. People are always perceiving you, And if you're in the building stage, you better be hoping they're perceiving you the right way. So you say, oh, it's not important, I'm just casual. Stop it, you know. Give yourself the best possible chance to succeed. And that's one of the ways you do that. So some of the keys to my success, let me just tell you, why worrying about what people think about you hurts you and it hurts them. This is one of the things I've been in the people management business, the sales training business now since 1979. 19 years I've been training salespeople and you know, selling, really. For 19 years I've been doing this, okay? And during that time, when I first started, I grew up in a Mexican Catholic family. And in my family, and some of you may relate to this, when I would go to friends' homes, you know, my parents would take us to their friends' homes. They would say before we left, now make sure you don't ask for anything. Make sure you be quiet. You don't touch anything. You be good. And if they ask you if you want something, you say no. And you just sit there quiet. Anybody relate to that? Okay, all right. Don't ask for anything, right? So what you start doing is you're always worried about what everybody's thinking. You don't ask for anything. You get in the habit of doing that, okay? And our culture is very humble. I come from a culture that's a very humble culture, okay? And then I went to work for these two guys named Skip and Steve Robbins that asked for everything. They didn't care if you liked them or not. They would ask you 25 different ways until you acquiesced and you gave them what they wanted. That's the way they were. And I'm looking at these guys. I'm a young kid. I'm 21, 22 years old, working in the jewelry business, working for these guys, right? They're hardcore business people. Very wealthy family. Own, at that time, I think 2 or 3 stores, and they owned a bunch of property on Wilshire Boulevard in West LA. I don't know if you know where that is, but some of the most expensive real estate. They owned those big apartment buildings, their whole family. They're very wealthy, right? And they're asking like crazy. Steve Robbins used to ask. He'd have 68-year-old women on Social Security come in, and he would close them until they gave them their Social Security check. And I'm telling you right now, I don't advocate that, but I'm trying to drive him a point that I said, now I'm thinking to myself, now this guy asks incessantly. I'm afraid to ask because I'm afraid of what they might think about me. He's wealthy, and I'm broke working for him. There's something wrong with this picture here. Now, I didn't want to become Steve Robbins, but I started thinking, if I'm going to start being more successful, I better start asking for more of what I want and stop just kind of like hoping people will take care of me. You with me? Some of you don't ever ask. You know why you don't close sales? Because you don't ask them for the check or for the business. You know why people don't get in the business? Because you go, what do you think? Instead of saying, John, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't get involved now? Great. Instead of being direct, right? So that's why I'm so big on being direct, because there was a time when I wasn't direct. I was very shy. I was very afraid of what people thought, but that didn't get me anywhere. And when I finally decided, right, this is a story that might help you, that really, this is a turning point in my life. My first store I managed, I bought in that business, I was 21, 22 years old. 5 months later, they made me a manager just because I worked hard. I was the hardest working person there, right? And so they made me a manager, which is kind of unusual at that age. I was running $1 million store, and I was managing 35 and 40-year-olds because some of the salespeople were much older than me. I was 22. Can you imagine that, right? And I was intimidated, and I was always afraid if I told them what they needed to do and I was acting like a boss, they wouldn't like me, and then, you know, I'd have problems. And so as a result, the salespeople that worked underneath me walked all over me and, you know, kind of took advantage of me because I allowed them to, right? Because I was afraid of what they might think about me. Just like most of you are afraid right now what everybody's thinking about you. And I had an opportunity to move to another store. And Steve asked me, if you want to open this store in Riverside? And I said, yes, I'd like to, because I made a decision. I was feeling bad about myself. I was feeling like a wimp, you know, and I didn't like me. And I decided, when I go to this next door, I am not going to be that way. I'm going to tell people exactly the way it is, whether they like it or not. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be direct. I'm not going to be mean, but I'm going to tell them, John, if you come to work for me, this is what I expect you to do. If you don't perform, I'm going to talk to you once. If after the second time I have to talk to you twice, I'm going to ask you to leave. It's nothing personal, but if we're going to work together, we're going to have to get results, okay? You okay with that? Okay, great. And that's the talk I'd have when they started, and I started doing that. And I started being direct. And when I'd have the first talk, and what happened is all of a sudden my business started taking off. People started doing more. The funny thing is everybody started respecting me. And they still liked me, but they respected me now. Before, they liked me and didn't respect me, right? Now I had both. I started feeling better. And that was the reason that when PFS came along, after that happened, I felt like I could do this. Now I know I could do this because I know I'm tough enough to do this now. That was the reason that I felt confident that I could do this full time. That was the reason. So what I'm saying to you is you've got to make that transition. If that's hard for you, you've got to start working on it right now. I know you're not going to do it in a day, but you better start working on it, because when you worry what people think about, especially clients or new recruits, imagine if I worried about what Rick Susie thought about me. He would still be working for William Pitt. He might be making $100,000 a year. Last month he was paid $132,000, okay? He's financially independent, and he's taking care of his family. If I wouldn't have recruited him, if I would have worried what he was thinking about me, I never would have recruited him, right? Or the other thing is the clients, all the clients that I serviced, if I would have worried what they were thinking about and I didn't close them, there's a lot of my clients that unfortunately died. Had I been thinking about me instead of them, right, they would have been without the protection. Some of those families, I put money, invested money for them. Their investments have grown dramatically because that was 14 years ago. The market's done pretty good, right? I mean, think about that. You hurt people when you worry too much about what people think about it, and unfortunately you hurt yourself and you hurt your family. Now, your family needs you to lead, folks. Your family needs you to lead. Forget about PFS. Forget about the people that are underneath you. The most important thing in your life is not your people underneath you. The most important people in your life are your family, your husband, your wife, your children. Nothing is more important than your family. I love all you, but I love my family more than I love you, okay? Bottom line, and so do you. And I was more concerned about what Jan Lamarck and Dak Lamarck and Janae Lamarck thought about me than I ever cared about what anybody else thought about me. And I was more concerned about how they perceived me and what kind of a person I was than anything. I wanted my kids to want to be like us. That was really important to me, that my kids would look at me and say, I just want to be like my dad. I love what he's about. I love my mom. I love my mom. I love what she's about. I want to be like them. That was really important to me, the most important thing to me. Now, it's important what you think, but nothing compared to them. And every family needs a leader. Every family needs someone to step up. In the Lamarck family, I'm that person. Because of what we decided to do, our family will never, ever be the same again. You know that? It's not ever going to be the same. It can't be. And in your family, that could be you. You know, 2 or 3 generations from now, our family, of course, you know, we've got all the trust funds set up, and we're doing all that financial planning, and our Kim's going to just keep on growing, and there's going to be a day when they're going to go, you know what, son? The reason where we're at is because of great-grandma and grandpa Hector and Jan Lamarck. They're the reason our family is where it's at right now. They're the reason. You know, am I the only one that wants that? Am I the only one? And I wanted that. So I want that so bad. I cannot wait for that to leave a legacy like that, to do something really great with my life. This is not about just, you know, getting accolades. This is about really making an impact. And you could be that person. You literally, and even though you don't think it, even though you think you're a B-plus student, you could be that person. You could change over the next 5 to 10 years to be whatever you decide to be. Every single last one of you. Without a doubt. And the other thing I found out is that we come from one of 2 places in all of our interactions and everything we do. We either come from love or we come from fear. Every single emotion that you ever experience is a derivative of one of those 2 things. Everything. Love or fear. See, fear is really damaging. See, when you come from love, the thing is, like when you go see a client, your thought shouldn't be, I got to close a sale so I can make a promotion or I could win a contest. You should always be going on that appointment saying, I need to go in here, find out what this family needs, and help them make decisions that change their life and make their life better. And really care about the person. Even if you don't do business, that's what you go in. And when you recruit somebody, you should be thinking, I'm going to recruit this guy so I can get my promotion or I can get an override. You should be thinking, I'm going to recruit Chris Howard, and I'm going to help Chris Howard because I want to see Chris and Susan and his family change their life. I want to see them have a better life than they have right now. And if you make that, and you might say, no, that's kind of, you know, Pollyanna. It's not. Because, see, if you have an attitude of service, your needs will be more than taken care of. Most of you don't believe the concept, but I'm telling you, if you come from service and you come from love in every single situation, everything that you do, you cannot lose. It's impossible to lose. And that's what you need to do. You need to come from love and not from fear. Because the truth is, the future is guaranteed. It's absolutely guaranteed. There's nothing to be worried about, right? At some point, all of us are going to die, right? All of us are. And we're going to go somewhere much better than this, okay? So we already know it's guaranteed. So there's nothing to fear here. Not a single thing. Service is a key to wealth. I believe you need to be totally service-oriented. That means with your people. You don't look at your people as pawns or as tools to get to where you go, but you look at them as people that you can help. You're put here as a servant. I don't see myself as you working for me, not even a little bit. I see myself as working for you. And because I work for you, I get compensated. You need to understand that 70% of the people that you're ever going to deal with are risk averse. If you read the Roaring 2000s, there's a statement there that says, this is factual, this is clinically proven. They found in the DNA of 70% of people that they are risk averse, which means that they're afraid of taking any kind of risk. 7 out of 10 people. So that when you invite or you try to get 10 people involved, the reason the numbers work like they work is because 70% of the people are risk averse. No matter what, they're so afraid. They're so afraid of getting rejected. They're so afraid of making a mistake. They're so afraid of being embarrassed. They're so afraid of something wrong happening. They can't move forward. Even though everything looks right, even though it makes total sense that they should, it doesn't matter because there's something inside of them that won't allow them to do it. Then there's a 30% that they don't give a crap about anything, like a John Podolsky, get out of my way, I just want to make some money, let's go, right? And so, what you need to focus on, number one, is when you find the 30%, you better work like crazy to build relationships with those people, whether you like them or not. You hear me? Whether you like them or not. There are a lot of people that I built relationships with over the years that I wasn't in love with, okay? I loved them, but I wasn't in love with them. They are a lot of grief, okay? But I still worked hard to build relationships with them. There's one guy that's not here that was the most annoying human being on the face of the earth, okay? And I treated him like and you know what? That worked out great. Still have a great relationship. He ended up leaving, but he left a lot of great things behind, and you need to do that with everybody. So, the other thing is if you lack confidence, how many of you think you lack a little bit of confidence right now? Be honest with yourself, okay? Let me tell you the secret to gaining confidence, okay? Because when I first started in the sales business, I didn't have any confidence either. But the one thing that I always knew to do, when I was in high school, I'm a reader, like I said, and so I played basketball. I played all sports in high school. And in college, I played basketball, I played tennis, and what I would do is I would read everything I could read on the subject of a particular sport, everybody that was any good at it, and I read everything, and then I would start practicing like crazy some of the techniques that I would learn in these books, and then I'd try to get some coaching and whatnot. But I found that when you work like crazy to prepare, then your confidence level goes up. You never become totally 100% confident. But if you're working hard at preparing, your confidence level has to go up. It can't go anywhere but up. Martin Flores is a lot more confident today than he was a year and a half ago. Am I right, Martin? Okay, because you've worked so hard at developing your skill level, you don't see yourself as the same person you saw yourself a year ago, right? I was talking to Lynn Massey the other night. Lynn Massey has been with me for a little while. Lynn, you had some breakthroughs just in the last month or so, right? And because of that, your confidence has totally gone up, right? And that comes from preparing. The more prepared you are, the greater your confidence will be. So if you're lacking confidence, generally, it's that you don't feel prepared, so that you're thinking, if I go into this situation, I'm going to fail, so you can't have confidence. But if you're prepared, you're automatically going to feel more confident. Not totally confident, because I don't believe anybody is ever totally confident. But you can increase the amount of confidence, so that way it gives you the courage to make an attempt. You with me? So that's how you do it. Work on preparation will increase your confidence. On the other hand, you need to do stuff before you know everything. It's a double-edged sword, right? Some of you go, well, I'm going to work really hard and study and know everything. I have some people that all they do is get every little booklet and every tape and everything, and they read and study, and they don't do anything, right? Because they're waiting for the perfect time that they know everything so they could actually try it. You got to go and get your lunch handed to you in the beginning. You just have to. I know when Chris Howard first started, he was bad, okay? But the fact is, he had the guts to go try and keep getting better, right? And now he's great. And that's true with me. Jan said, when she said at that first Fast Start, there were 65 people at this Fast Start school I spoke at. I was so nervous. I was just beside myself. I'd never spoken in front of more than 2 people before, right? There's 65. It could have been 65,000 people. And so, what you do is you just keep on trying, right? You just keep on getting better. The next time I did it, I was a little better. I was still bad, but I was better. The next time I tried, I was a little bit better. And then before you know it, right? Now I've done this. Now I'm speaking to you, 1,200 people. If there was 35,000, I wouldn't be any more nervous than it was 65,000. I don't have a problem speaking to 100,000 people. You know why anymore? Because I've done it so much. I know what I'm talking to you about is the absolute truth. I know it works. I know more about this subject than anybody out there. So I don't really care anymore. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter. Some of you don't even, you're tired, you're bored, you're saying, when is it going to be over? I don't even care. I don't. Because I'm not going to see you in a year or so anyway, so it doesn't matter what you think. On the other hand, treat your family and spouse and kids great. Let me just tell you, I think one of the things, you can't go home and beat your wife and kick the cat and yell at your kids and then have a great business. Some of you don't treat your partner great. Some of you don't. Some of you, you're condescending to your kids sometimes. And if it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. But you know what? The one thing I've always tried to do is I love Jan. I treat her with total respect. I always think about how she feels. Always. Everything I do, I think about how is Jan going to feel about this. Always. When I see my kids, every time I see my kids, I give them a kiss, I hug them, I tell them they're great, I tell them they're beautiful, I tell them I'm so proud of you, I write them notes. I'm always making them feel special. I work so hard at that. Because, number one, because they are, because we all are. And number two, because their best shot, they're going to be out in the world alone someday, and the predominant thoughts that you fill their head with is what they're going to take with them when they leave. And I want to make sure they're thinking they're unbeatable. I want to make sure they think that they can't lose. I want them to know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, their dad thinks that they walk on water and that they can't lose. And I tell them that all the time. Constantly tell them, Dak, you know what? You're so unbelievable, man. I'm so proud of you how you did your first. He just finished his first year of college. He had a 4.0. He got A pluses in about 70% of his classes. Not just A's, but A pluses, I wrote him, I got this little book about From Sons to Fathers book, because I just wanted to tell him how unbelievable proud I am. I said, you have already... All you need to do, Dak, is keep doing what you're doing. Whatever you decide to ultimately do, you want to be an actor, there's no chance for you to fail. None whatsoever. It's just a matter of time. It may take you longer than you think it's going to take you, but it's impossible for you to fail at that. At some point, you're going to be successful. No doubt about that. And the more you tell him that, the more he believes that, the more he's going to charge forward. See? That's the reason you need to tell people that. That's the reason you need to tell your kids that. That's the reason you need to tell your spouse that. Always. Because they're filled from the outside world with all kinds of garbage, right? About they're not capable, about they can't do it, about blah, 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 right? And you need to counteract that. Focus on what's right, encourage weakness. One of the things that I think I've been really great at is I never tell people what's wrong with them. I just don't do it. I don't do it because they already know. And to add to what they already know, it doesn't serve any purpose. Okay? So telling people constantly what's wrong with them, all that makes them do is want to be away from you. So what you do is you tell them what's right with them. Especially when you're working with your team, you say, Chris, man, I'm telling you, you're awesome. Your work ethic's unbelievable, man. If you just worked on this one part right here a little bit better, I'm telling you, it would take you over the top, and you would be a superstar. You'd kill everybody, man, because as talented, as hard a working person as you are, man, you just fix this one little thing and just improve on it a little bit. That's the only place where you're not bad, but if you just go out that, man, you'd kill them. Nobody could touch you. And you're just how you deal with people. You're always telling them what's right with them. If there's something where they've got a little help, you say, look, if you just fix this a little bit, then you'd be a superstar. That would take you over the top. You're already great, though. Focus on building belief, because belief drives everything. One of the great books I've read is Anthony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within, and it's all it talks about this, because every action that we take is based on our belief. We don't try things unless we believe we have a chance to be fairly successful at them. Like, think of the job you have. The job you have, if you have a job right now, you selected that job because you believe you have a reasonable shot at doing that job and getting that job. Am I right? Why, if you're at a company right now, you're doing a certain job, why didn't you apply for the CEO position? Because you didn't believe you had a shot at that position, right? That's why you didn't do it. If you would have believed you had a shot, you would have been, politicking for that position, right? So what we do is we do what we think we can do. We don't do any more, we don't attempt any more than we think we can do. So the most important thing when you're trying to get people to do more is to work on their belief level. Nothing's more important than working on people's belief level. Nothing. The most important thing. When I talk to people, that's the number one thing I focus on all the time. Right, Danny Duffy? If I meet with you, what am I talking to you about? You're incredible. You're awesome. What you've done already is unbelievable. Your work ethic's unparalleled. You're a great personal recruiter. You're only going to get better. I can't believe how good you've gotten already. The experience you've had so far is just amazing. If I would die to have 100 Danny Duffys in my business. That's how I talk to people all the time. You're special. You've got something that nobody else has. Lynn, man, your ability to put things together is just amazing. Your ability to teach, I just love it. Martin Flores, your people skills, I think you're unreal in that area. The ability to close is just, God, you're already a professional. I think you're just going to keep taking off. That's the kind of things that should just be pouring out of your mouth with everybody you meet, with your people constantly, like a broken record over and over and over and over again until they believe it. That's when your work's done. When they believe it, your work is done. That may be a year, 5, 10, 20 years. It doesn't really matter until they believe it. We talked a lot about work ethic, and yesterday I tell you, man, I was totally focused. But I may just tell you what the benefits of that are from my perspective. Jan told you a little bit. But the thing for me that's been really fun is being able to do things for my parents. The greatest thing for me is I don't know if my parents here right now? I don't even know if they're here or not. Maybe they're not even left already. I watch, like, how my dad looks at me and my mom look at me, and I know they see me up in front of a crowd, and a lot of you say nice things about Jan and I, and I can't tell you how good that makes me feel that I decided that I do something special with my life to let my parents know. My parents had a lot to do with who I am. My dad has the most incredible, some of you met my dad, he has unbelievable people skills. My mom is to raise 7 kids in a 1,000-square-foot house and to be able to do it without working. She saved money. She paid her house off in 10 years, I mean, and to produce 7 great kids. All my brothers and sisters are great people. They're incredible. My parents are incredible. They make a lot of money, but they're wealthy in a lot of other ways. And I am who I am because of my parents. And to let them know that what they did is having an effect on literally thousands of people is one of the greatest things that's happened in my life. One of the best things you could do for your parents if you want to pay them back for whatever sacrifice they did for you is go affect people. Go make something of your life. Go do something that really makes a difference. instead of just taking up space and taking 2 weeks vacation and having the weekends off and, and having just another humdrum life, there's an exciting life out there waiting for you that you can design. And then your kids, your example has a huge impact on your kids. The most important thing with kids, though, I think, for Jan and I, you should ask this question. I don't know where we heard this or we read this somewhere. Ask your kids, what do you think is the most important thing about you to us? We asked our kids that. And thank God this was the answer. Both of them said that we be good people. So both of our kids said. And it is. The most important thing to me about my kids is that they're good people, that they're caring people, that they love other people, that they don't treat people poorly. You know how kids can be cruel. We were after our kids all the time. You better not be treating. You see somebody that's being taken advantage of or being picked on, I don't want you ever to be getting involved in that. You don't know what's going to happen to that person. That's one of the cruelest things you can do. I want you to be a great person. I want you to love people. I want you to work hard. But before anything else, you better be a great person. And you talk to them about it. And you act that way towards people. And you treat people great. Because the thing I pay attention to, I don't pay attention to how you treat Jan and I because, everybody treats us good. I don't know why, but you do. But the fact is, I watch how you treat the waiter. I watch how you treat the bellman. I watch how you treat somebody that doesn't really have any, have any potential to help you. That's how I judge other people. Because my dad taught me that you're supposed to treat everybody the same. Every single person you ever meet in your life, whether it's the most humble person to the most elevated person, you treat them exactly the same. That's what you're supposed to do. Because I don't want to be associated with somebody that treats me great and then treats the waiter bad, because that's who they really are. And that's not who I want to be associated with. Our kids are just unreal. I mean, you just see, PFS kids are different. I mean, we say that all the time, but I am telling you, man, you meet a PFS kid, and they're night and day, I'm telling you. The positiveness, they're gregarious, they're confident, they're just different. I mean, my kids are just different, I know all of your kids. I know the Howard's kids. I know they're totally different, Mel's kids. I mean, I know your kids are totally out there tearing it up. I mean, Jatinder, your son, just tore it up in school and just doing great. I mean, the Zerks kids, I mean, these two kids are just awesome, They're just unreal. They're awesome. And that goes for everybody that's been around a while. It's fantastic what you can do for them. I told Janae got, when she got accepted to Stanford, I told Janae, isn't it great that we don't have to worry about how much it costs? Isn't it great that the first 2 weeks of this year covers your 4 years of tuition at Stanford that we made? Isn't that awesome? And your peers, you want the respect of your peers. It's something that I wanted. I wanted you to respect me. I want people, it's important to me. I know it's important to you. But you got to produce for that to happen. You got to make things happen. You got to be results oriented. You can't get, somebody who's telling me, I really want to be a mentor. I really want to do something great for people. I want to help people. But you know what? No one's going to listen to you until you have a track record. The reason I invited John Pawlowski and Mark Marchesani to come out here is because they have a track record. If they didn't have a track record, I wouldn't have had them come out. The reason is they wouldn't have any credibility. Even if they said exactly the same things, which are all great, right? And I'm sure they would have said exactly the same. They're close to them. If they weren't producing and getting results, they couldn't be here, not because I don't like them, but because there's no credibility. You with me? And so you guys are trying to get your people to do stuff, and you're not doing what you need to do. You're not getting results, so you don't have any credibility. The way you get credibility, Paul, is you get results. That's how you get it. There's no other way to get it. Do you think Michael Jordan, if he went to go speak at a basketball camp, would have any credibility with the campers? Voila, there's the answer. And your wife or your husband, no one's more important. To me, You've heard me say this before, but it's really true. I used to think about this. I didn't want Jan to wake up one morning and roll over and look at me and go, oh my God, what did I do? I mean, one of the main reasons for me to work like a crazy man and make this happen is I wanted her to roll over and go, wow, thank you. Thank you for putting this man in my life, you know. He's perfect for me. He's exactly what I wanted. See, that was important to me. I don't know if any of you feel that way, but you know what? You got to make things happen. And that's not the money. It's how you treat them. It's how you care about them. It's how you love them. It's how you are with them, you know. Because there's nothing more important than your relationship. There really isn't. Relationships are incredibly important. They define who we are. How we are in our relationships define who we are. What kind of human being you are. And the lifestyle. The lifestyle is wild, man. Now, this is the fun part. The real reason I did PFS is to get free. That's the real reason. The total reason, I don't know, I think John's probably with me on this one. I just wanted to be free. I wanted to be able to get up whenever I felt like getting up. I wanted to be able to travel first class anywhere I want to go. I wanted to be able to do anything I wanted to do whenever I felt like doing it and never answer to anyone but Jan. That's what I wanted. And so what I did is that the only way you can do that is you got to get financially independent. See, you're here. PFS is a tool. It's not the end all. PFS is a way. It's a fabulous way. It's an incredible company. It's incredible what we do for people. But nevertheless, it's still a tool. It's a way for you to get in your life what you want. That's the way I look at it. And the first goal has to be financial independence. Now, what does that mean for us? When we first made that 60-month game plan, I was making $50,000 a year. We could have lived on $50,000 a year. All we thought about is we got to save $500,000 because at 10%, that would give us $50,000 a year, and we'd be free. That was the beginning of our goal setting right there. That's all we focused on. We were making $70,000, $80,000 a month living in an 1,800 square foot tract house. Our house payment was $1,200 a month. We had one car payment. Our total budget, including our office, was about $6,000 a month, making about $70,000 to $80,000 a month. No new furniture, no pictures on the walls, just working. I was never home anyways. I was working, building a business. I wasn't into see, when I did it, I wanted to be able to do it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do it and then half-butt it and not be able to decorate my house and not be able to do all the things. I wanted to do it right? So we bought this last house right here. My house just got appraised. It's between $4.5 and $5 million what my house is worth right now. We paid for it as we built it. Just out of our cash flow every month. Just paid the builder or whatever it cost that month. And we saved a lot of money in addition to doing that at the same time. And we traveled like crazy. And we had fun. To give you an idea, since the beginning of the year, been in Palm Springs, we have a house out here. Went to Cabo for a week. We have a penthouse in Cabo. Susan's been there. And it's on the sixth floor. It's about 2,700 square feet, sleeps 10 people. It's got its own private swimming pool, kitchen. It's a house right on the water, overlooking the Sea of Cortez, and it's awesome there. We go to the office every day while we're there. It's a restaurant on the beach there with margaritas and stuff. So we went there. Went to Breakers in Florida, had a ball with John and Mark and some other friends. Then we got back from there. We went to Cabo again. Then we got back from Cabo the second week. We went to Monte Carlo and Lake Como for our anniversary. Then when we got back from there, a week later, we went to Cabo again. Then we went to Carmel. Just recently, I got a chance to play Pebble Beach, Spyglass, and Cypress Point, which is like the second most difficult course to get on in the country next to Augusta. Got to play that on last Monday. It which is absolute treat. We're playing right behind, huh? Oh, we went to Hawaii too. I forgot about Hawaii. We went to Hawaii too. In between that, and I played right behind John Madden and Troy Aikman and Novacek. We're playing right in the group right in front of us. A chance to meet them. We're going to San Francisco and Hawaii in the next couple of months. This month, actually. And then we're taking our kids to Maine on a bike trip, one of those Vermont biking trips where if you get tired, they have a van. You can get in the van and rest, you know. And then you get to the place, you stay at inns, and so we're doing that. We're taking them there, and then we're going to take them to New York after that for a couple days. Then for Jan's birthday in October, we're going to Tahiti. We're going to Bora Bora and all those places on a cruise. And I don't know what we're going to do in November yet. We haven't really decided in December. But my goal, we're going to take the month of August off. One of that stretches, the 1 month we went to Monte Carlo and Cabo. We were gone like 20-some days that month and made $274,000 that month. And our goal, one of the goals, we talked about this, you put stuff in writing, was to take a week off a month. Wouldn't you like to take a 1 week vacation every month? That's what we're doing now. We're taking a week off a month. That's sick, huh? But all you want to do it, don't you? Yeah, you do. And when I get up every morning, this is our typical day when we're home. We get up, we go have coffee, we go downtown. We come back, we work out, make some phone calls, get ready, make some more phone calls usually. Sometimes we just go do something, go shopping, figure out where we're going to go for dinner, go to a nice dinner. Then we figure out what movie we're going to see. There's like about 100 and some screens within a half-hour radius of our home. We see every movie every week. Might go to the movies 4 or 5 times a week. Don't tell Joe. Hey, you know what? I am doing exactly what I designed to do. I am living my life exactly like I'm choosing to live it. I am deciding every day exactly what I want to do. And no one can tell me I can't do it because I don't need PFS anymore financially. I do it because I enjoy it and I love it. And that's what we're trying to do, is get you to see that you can do the same thing. That's what this whole thing's about. That life is not just for Hector and Jan Lamarck and Dak and Janae Lamarck. It's not a life for just a few people. It's a life for anybody that chooses it, that makes the choices of all the things you saw today. It's not for a chosen few. Every single last one of you, whether you believe it or not, can have that life. It might take you 5 more years or 10 more years or 15 more years. I don't know. It's how you choose to spend your time during that time. It's how you choose. See, because tomorrow you have a choice. Today you have a choice. You can leave here. You can say, oh, I'm so tired from this week and it was so great. I'm just going to go home and go to sleep. Or you could choose to, on your way home, get on a phone, start making calls, calling your chicken list, right? And then and when you get home, get an emergency meeting together with the people that weren't here, and get a phone calling blitz and start making some things happen, and then make sure that you get on the phone and you get on Tuesday night your op meeting, you have 10 or 15 people show up instead of the 1 or none you've been having show up. You can make the choice to do that, or you can choose to say, I'm going to think about this a week. I'm going to wait till I get the CD-ROM, and I'm going to wait till I get all the stuff, and then I'm going to study it, and then once I study it, I'm going to really get it down, and then I'm going to make the calls, and then I'm going to start recruiting. Or you can choose to do that, or you can choose to get busy now. You can choose to start facing your fears, or you can choose to keep procrastinating. You can choose to master every part of the business, or you can choose to keep saying, I don't understand it. But don't you ever kid yourself that you're not choosing your life. Your life is exactly the sum total of every choice you've made to date. And you are in complete and total control of that life. No one else chooses but you. God doesn't choose. He gives you choice. He gives you free will. That's what He does. He lets you choose. That's the gift He gives you. God's will is what you choose. So what are you going to choose? Because, folks, if you don't think He's been talking to you this weekend, you're just not listening. You're just not listening. And we're going to end right now. Are we ready for that? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for just making us feel so special. Oh, wait a second. Don't clap yet. I want to tell you. We really do. I mean, I know we're busy, and some of you think because we're so busy we don't care about you anymore. Some of you RVPs, you think, well, he's busy, he's just having a great life. You know, he's forgotten about. I haven't forgotten about you. Not even a second have I forgotten about you. The one thing I've realized in my life now is that you're choosing everything you've got. You know everything you need to know. You've gotten all the information. You just haven't been making the right choices is all. You can choose it. You can choose to call me anytime. I return phone calls. Right? Do I return phone calls? I return phone calls. Most of you don't ever call me, but I return them. If you call me, I do. So you can choose that. I don't know about you. I was so touched last night by this song. I wanted to end with this song today. And I just want to thank you so much. Thank you, Hector. And I just wanted God to talk to you one more time before you left and make sure that you heard him, okay? So, light him up. Love you guys. Drive home safe.
Hasn't this weekend been wonderful? Awesome, as they say, and I'm just privileged to be a part. And I just must tell this little story before I begin. I sent a tape last year to Hector because the Lord told me that this song describes all of us. If ever there was a song that describes Hector and George Verdugo and all of us, it's this song that simply says we're ordinary people. I mean, think of it. Chino, Los Angeles, growing up in Los Angeles and becoming something bigger than perhaps most people can dream. And I'm just appreciative of Jan and Hector for allowing me and my lovely wife, Olufemi. I just have her to stand. We're in the Verdugo Bay Shop. Thank you for believing in me. And we're just glad to be here at such a time as this. And so this song, listen to the words and the message. It says it all, I think. And I knew that I would have an opportunity to do this. And my dream is to sing this all over the country at PFS meetings. Is that all right? Please. Just ordinary people. I'm so glad God uses ordinary people. He chooses people just like you and me who are willing to do as He commands. God uses people who will give Him all. It doesn't matter how small your all may seem to you, because little becomes much when you place it in the Master's hand. Just ordinary people. I'm so glad God uses ordinary people. He chooses people just like you and me who are willing to do as He commands. God uses people who will give Him all. It doesn't matter how small your all may seem to you, because little becomes much when you place it in the Master's hand. Just like that little lad who gave Jesus all he had, and the multitude was fed with the fish and the loaves of bread. What you have may not seem like much, but when you yield it to the touch of the Master's loving hand, then you'll understand how your life will never be the same. Just ordinary people. I get excited about the fact that God uses just plain old ordinary people. He chooses people just like you and me who are willing to do as He commands. Oh, my, Jesus uses people who give Him all. It doesn't matter how small your all may seem to you, because little becomes much when you place it in the Master's hands. And all we've got to do is give God our all, and little becomes much when you place it right in the Master's hand. God bless you. Thank you.